Dr. Murray Williams from the Papanui Heritage Group, my old stomping ground.
I prepared a brief statement I'd like to read to you. I think it gives some context and background to the submission I've made. Strong communities give people a sense of belonging and encourage them to take part in social, cultural and political life. Now, those words aren't mine. They are, in fact, in the 2007 Council strategy, and I know a lot's changed since then, but I think they are still part of the Council guidelines. We feel that the recommendations coming out of the representation review do not satisfy this criterion in the case of potential changes to Papanui. We could spend a lot of time debating what the geographical limits of this community are, but what is certain is that some of the areas scheduled to be allocated to Harewood are indisputably part of the historical Papanui narrative. I've referred to these in my written submission, but the best examples are St James Park, St Paul's Church, and even more so to the cemetery attached to the church. The latter was originally a public graveyard not tied to any denomination up to the Papanui area. Its recent refurbishment is a testament to the community involvement. Papanui RSA, St Paul's Church and the Papanui Heritage Group have all worked together to tidy what was rather an unkempt precinct even before the earthquakes, and record details of all information displayed on tombstones that provide valuable information on the social narrative of Papanui. The extent to which the loss of these areas will weaken the local community is of course unknowable, but it will certainly not strengthen it. Having parts of what we consider to be quintessential Papanui in a different ward, under a different community board, will destroy the continuity that has been built up under the efficient and sympathetic Papanui-Shirley community board that currently exists. We believe that the planners have been seduced by the straight line that is Papanui Road. It seems an easy and neat solution to those redrawing boundaries to equalise the size of the franchises of all wards. There's always an alternative. In our written submission, we have made a suggestion to save at least some of the streets and infrastructure threatened with absorption into Harewood. Obviously, this would result in a consequential change somewhere else, but a cursory examination of the projected new boundaries suggests that there is possible room to move by reassigning the residential area between St Albans Street and Innes Road to the central ward, which under the recommendations still shows a population imbalance. And it seems to me that, okay, you give some back to Papanui and you can grab some back from Central, that might equalise things more adequately than they are being done in the recommendations. Papanui is an area with a post-settlement history of 165 years. Our plea to you is to consider ways in which our community may be preserved and strengthened. If you adopt the recommendations, they would result in a step along the path to its disintegration.
Condell Ave.
Yes.
If you put a line down Condell Ave,
yes,
then you split the community there. That's my issue with it. I know the area really well. I grew up on Walnut Avenue.
It's already like that now, though, isn't it?
Eh?
It's already like that now. That's where the boundary is now.
Is it?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's been like that for quite a few years.
Yes.
It is the edge of a mesh block, isn't it? Is that the line? Is that the orange line that's down the middle of that Harewood bit on the map?
It's just a main. It's a main road.
Yep.
So
but
it's this area unit would go around here as well as a mesh block.
Yeah.
So these are all mesh blocks.
It is a bit weird, and then it runs down Blythe Road currently, but people seem to be quite used to that anyway.
Yes, they do. I mean, if I went right back to not too ancient history, the borders of Papanui were Normans Road and Mays Road on that area. Oh. And that was caused when St Albans became a borough. That's where St Albans stopped, and by definition Papanui started.
Right.
I know things have shifted since then.
Mm.
So you wouldn't see that as a big issue for the community if the boundary remained there?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, the thing is that I totally agree. I mean, I went to one of the Papanui Historic Society events and just have seen all of this history, and you're quite right, it's an association with Papanui, not with a new ward. So it makes absolute sense to include it within the Papanui ward. And there have been other submissions to take that little section at the other end and put it into central.
Yes.
So, and the numbers look like they would add up. So, you know, that. So do we just get some advice perhaps on leaving it as the current boundary? Or is there a case to be made for it to go right up to Wairaki Road?
That was the question I was going to ask, just in terms of going along Greers and then up to Wairaki and then back up Blythe.
Yeah.
Yes. That would be close to the old boundaries of Papanui, actually.
Because you can see from Martian's population, actually, if you take some from Papanui, Martian's is at the high end, so you could actually take quite a bit out of Martian's back into Papanui.
Yes.
And you'd end up with the population ratios kind of working.
You're getting here with too low though. So we'll do some boundary changes and some numbers, but it's quite significant because there's quite a bit of population there, and Harewood's already low. But we'll do some rejigging and some numbers and some options.
Yeah. So I mean, you might have given us a little bit of a challenge in terms of the moving things around, but I think the case is well made that those are definitely parts of Papanui. So, I mean, I remember as a child going to St James Park. I agree that, I mean, I always used to say that I grew up in Papanui. I think the real estate industry changed the name of the area where I grew up to Strohan. God knows why. We're miles away from Strohan Road.
The real estate industry's got a lot to answer for.
That's right. But I agreed with the comment that Jamie made yesterday about, you know, St Albans when you're buying, Mirabelle when you sell. So, yeah. So it's a very similar thing. Pauline, did you have a question? No. All right. Well, I think that you're hearing that there's a lot of desire to get the boundary right for that part of the ward, but the area that you've identified really should be in the Papanui ward.
Okay, thank you
Great.
very much.
Thank you very much.